people overcomplicate how to grow their newsletters. I think there is a very specific path forward using paid acquisition to get to that $1 million range.
Walk me through starting at the beginning. So the first step that you put out there was...
The big evergreen niche that I see over and over again making a lot of money from newsletters is...
Are you starting a newsletter for an audience where you already know how monetization could be done for that audience? Or are you going, here's an idea for a newsletter for a group that's in the finance niche. They seem to have a bunch of money. I'm sure I'll be able to figure out a way to monetize them.
I prefer the approach of...
I'm here with Gunnar home. Tyler's out today. And I'm super excited that we have Gunnar on anyway, because with Growjoy, his agency, he runs like $50,000+ ad spend accounts on Meta ads for some of the biggest FinPubs out there. And he has just this really interesting, unique insight and take on what works for paid growth and paid newsletter acquisition. We're going to talk about that a bit more on the Q&A episode, which will drop later this week. But what I'm really excited to do in today's sort of like main episode is to actually get a bit more into like a hypothetical nitty gritty of how Gunnar would actually take what he's learned from all these big sort of FinPubs and these different clients he's worked with, and how he would use that to grow a newsletter to $1 million a year in revenue of his own today in 2025. Gunnar, thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be, I'm excited to see what you come up with here.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, this came to us kind of like, obviously I followed you for a while, big fan of your work, but where I saw this was like in a tweet that you put out, I think like 2 weeks ago, where you literally just like listed out these different bullet points, step by step of like how you would actually approach this. What inspired you for this tweet? Like what made you think, okay, I've got to put this out there and share this with people?
What inspired it was that I have multiple clients in that revenue range. And I can clearly see a path forward going from like $0 to $1 million in revenue per year. So I feel like people overcomplicate how to grow their newsletters a lot of times. And I think there is a very specific path forward using paid acquisition to get to that $1 million range. And I've seen it happen, over and over again. But yeah, that is basically what inspired that tweet.
Because it is literally like you have like 7 or 8 steps in here, and to go from 0 to $1 million a year in 8 steps, like I love it. I love how compact it is. I love the format for Twitter, but I want to unpack it a little bit today. And hopefully we can spend 25 minutes, half an hour, and actually like run through step by step how you would do this. So if someone's listening, they like the FinPub space, or they're interested in something in like a finance niche, and they're looking for a newsletter to start, like this is actually like your blueprint for how you would do this. So walk me through like starting at the beginning. So the first step that you put out there was you would pick a niche within the finance niche that you would go after. So what are you looking for in that niche? Like what makes a good niche to you? Like what's a niche in the finance space that could grow a newsletter and sustain it at $1 million plus a year?
I mean, I would say that the big evergreen niche that I see over and over again making a lot of money from newsletters is financial and money making.
Yeah.
But then I think that financial as your niche is too broad. So I would go even more niche by selecting a niche within the niche. And what I mean by that is not just talk about general money making ideas or general stock market news. I would go a step further and select a very specific type of audience. For example, let's say, like I mentioned in the tweet, commercial real estate investors. Commercial real estate investors, if they're interested in commercial real estate, you know that they have surplus capital, probably a lot of liquid capital, and generally is a very high quality audience in the US. So that is kind of like the first step. I would find a niche with a very high quality set of people.
How important is it that like you come from that niche, or like that you understand that niche really well? Is this something that you can kind of like jump into from outside and quickly get your bearings and do something interesting for them? Or is it like, oh yeah, like if you are in the commercial real estate investor space and you have friends who are in that space, then of course that's going to be great for you. But for an outsider, it's basically impossible.
I would say usually you have to be in the space. People are very, aware of the fact that knowledge is very easily created with AI, or like you can write about anything, right? But what separates the my best clients from, the worst newsletters out there is that they already had a lot of experience in their field, and then they're just monetizing their skill set by, creating content on stuff that they already know about. So, I actually have, a newsletter client that talks about commercial real estate, and the main person in that newsletter brand is a commercial real estate investor with, billions of dollars under management. So I would say that have like talk about stuff that because like if people start subscribing and they're commercial real estate investors themselves, but you're some random person that knows nothing about it, like it won't work.
So it's kind of like the two sides of the coin. If you want to go into a niche like this where there's a lot of opportunity, you also have to have the expertise really to be able to take advantage of it, I guess, right?
Exactly. And what I would do, like if you see a niche where you don't have any experience in, partner up with someone that has.
Okay, cool. So like you take on, I guess, the operations and everything, and you're leaning on them for the expertise and the name, the authority.
Exactly. Like for example, I'm trying something myself now where I'm trying to team up with this person who's a very great stock picker, and
Hmm.
his stock picks do very well. His return on investment for his readers are like great, but he is lacking in marketing. So I'm trying to team up with him and trying to become a team where we have like a joint venture together where he's kind of like the face of the brand.
I love that approach. Like it's a more accessible thing for most people. It's very similar actually to even outside of the FinPub space. You have like a lot of people who are now starting to go out to D2C brands, for example, or influencers and say, hey, you have this product or this D2C brand for dogs and pets. You have millions of email subscribers, but you have absolutely no editorial newsletter and really no strategy around how to produce that, push it out. Let's team up. I'll do the newsletter side of things. You supply me with the some of the subscribers, some of the capital, and some of the reach and the influence.
Mm.
I think that's a really interesting way to sort of to fix that cold start problem and to get a leg up when you maybe don't have a huge amount of experience in like a specific industry that would be super valuable. So
Exactly.
let's move on to your second step. So you said when you have your niche, you would go out and you would basically, I think it says you would test different newsletter content strategies by running meta ads. Okay, so firstly, why meta ads? And then secondly, what are you looking for from those tests? Like what's the success outcome that you're hoping for?
So Meta can be great for testing content strategies and also like business ideas.
Okay.
So what I mean by that second step is instead of just like selecting a content strategy, let the market
Hmm.
decide what they value as content, because you're trying to find content market fit. So instead of like going all in on one content strategy, you can select five, and then see what generates the best cost per subscriber with meta ads. So create one landing page per content idea, and then create ads that runs traffic to every single landing page, and then let the market decide what they want to read.
So when you're talking newsletter, different testing different newsletter content strategies, you're not necessarily talking about testing the writing or the quality of the content itself. This is more about I don't know, you say like is this like a five picks format versus an in-depth letter versus a something like that? Or is it more even broader than that into like let's talk about stock picks versus let's talk about something slightly different? Yeah, what are some examples of like what level you're testing on that?
Yeah, so let's say you select a commercial real estate investors as
Yeah.
your niche within your niche.
Hmm.
Um, then you can try, for example, sending them commercial real estate deals on a weekly basis, or you can have content that talks about like commercial real estate in general, like tips and tricks. So, content ideas within the niche.
And are you actually then going through, let's say you pick 5 ideas, are you gonna actually write all 5 of those newsletters, or are you just throwing up a landing page and ads and seeing who actually subscribes for each one? So who has the intent? Which one are people interested in?
Yeah, the latter. So
The latter. Okay.
basically, no content is made until I usually wait until I have like 1,000 subscribers, just to be on the safe side. But uh, they're not necessarily. I mean, they're obviously signing up to the newsletter, but they can also
Mhm.
you're not promising them content right now, so you can start sending them
Mhm.
content later.
I love that. And then so you have those, let's say, 3 or 5 different variants. One of them clearly seems to be performing better than the others. What do you do at that point?
Then I try to test out what type of cost per subscriber I'm able to get.
Okay.
And then I usually use ChatGPT to just get something out to this audience to test the quality, see how much they're engaging with the content. And also, I try to survey all subscribers when they sign up. So I'm trying to figure out like what is the quality on this on these subscribers. Ask them like again, if I'm in the commercial real estate niche, ask them if they're actually a commercial real estate investor, how much they've invested in the past year, how much they're looking to invest, if they're interested in getting affiliate deals with lenders. Like I'm trying to think about like how I'm going to monetize this audience, and then that will tell me a lot because if I already know how I want to monetize this audience, and I know what indicators my advertisers are going to be looking for, then I can basically get a feel for that through sending them a survey.
Which one comes first there? Are you starting a newsletter for an audience where you already know how monetization could be done for that audience? So you have like, okay, I know I can monetize this. Now I just need to figure out a newsletter that will get those people in. Or are you going, okay, well, here's an idea for a newsletter for a group that's in the finance niche. They seem to have a bunch of money. I'm sure I'll be able to figure out a way to monetize them. Let's just get them in the door first. Which is like the which approach do you prefer?
I prefer the approach of having a monetization strategy from the get-go.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I might be risk averse, but I like generating money as soon as possible. Because
Mhm.
if you're going to be spending money to grow your newsletter, then I mean I want to make money on those subscribers as quickly as possible. So I select the niche, and then I see how other players in the niche are making money, and then
Mhm.
I try to replicate it. And I reach out to companies that would benefit from lead gen in that niche. And then I try to find out something like some way of monetizing those subscribers immediately.
And so you could even do that before you even bother to spend any money on Facebook ads and trying to acquire the subscribers.
I usually spend some money first, just
Okay.
so that I'm sure that I'm able to generate subscribers, and like I'm sure about the quality as well. And then I talk to a couple of partners, tell them that hey, here's this newsletter that I have. Here's the quality. Do you want leads? And then basically take it from there.
So how much are you investing roughly into like meta ads or something like that to test this out before you even have an idea of like whether you're going to be able to monetize it?
It's like it depends, but I would say maybe like
Hmm.
$200 just to get a little feel for it.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's yeah. I was thinking you're going to say a lot more than that. Okay, so this is
Oh,
something that pretty much everybody could do. Okay,
yeah.
very cool. So you've got your niche. You've tried out a bunch of different content ideas. You've picked one that people seem to be responding well to. You get something out of the door, like just some content quickly created for them, just to sort of keep them warm. And when these new subscribers are coming in, you're quizzing them, you're sending them through a welcome flow with the questionnaire, basically checking out the questions that would say, "Hey, am I going to be able to monetize you some way or not? Right? Are you the right audience for me? Do you have purchase or affiliate intent, stuff like that?"
Yeah.
Um, what do you do from that point?
Then I hopefully have a Legion offer. And
Okay.
then I can include questions in my survey that qualifies them as a lead for my Legion offer.
Mhm.
And then
How do you get the lead gen offer?
reaching out to people in that space. So let's say you're a
Okay.
you're in the commercial real estate niche. talking to banks or lenders or like brokers within commercial real estate, sending them a message and getting a lead gen campaign going. Um,
Okay.
and then from there, like if you are able to ask qualifying questions in your survey, you're redirecting them to their offer, and then they're paying you per lead.
So you're asking the questions. If the questions check out, you send the person through to this. Is that on their site?
It depends, but yeah, usually on their
Okay,
site.
usually on their site, and then they'll pay you for each lead that you've generated through for them. Okay,
Yeah.
so what is the math on this?
It depends, but let's
Hmm.
say a qualified lead in the commercial real estate investing world would pay you, let's say $75, $50. It depends on what type of offer they have and what they use as filters for what qualifies a lead.
But those are realistic ranges. Like that's
Yeah, and it can also be even higher. Like it can be
okay.
between
Okay,
$100 and $200. It depends.
got it. Okay,
But then it depends on like the cost per subscriber, what type of intent you have in your ads. Are you trying to get people to subscribe to the newsletter, or are you trying to attract people based on the legion offer you have? But my goal with a campaign like that, and just to be clear, I've only done this in like at low levels for myself, but I've obviously done this with high levels for my clients. But what we're trying to do is attracting subscribers that generates revenue for the client. So
okay.
if the main revenue driver for the client is a lead gen offer, then we create ads that attracts that type of subscriber into the funnel.
So just like really stupid, simple example, what you're basically saying is if the main way you're monetizing, like the main um, lead gen deal that you can pull in is, let's say, for commercial real estate investors who have $200 million in assets under management. Um, what doing sort of in super simple terms is you have some sort of hook in the ad or something that's like, are you a commercial real estate investor with $200 million under management? Great, then this is for you, right? Like obviously that would not be the real hook, but you're essentially trying to target it to people and the pains and the interests and the hooks that someone like that would be interested in, and not so much to people maybe who are just beginning their commercial real estate journey, for example.
Exactly, 100%.
Got
A
it.
very
Okay.
specific example can, for example, be like, let's say your lead gen partner is a commercial real estate lender.
Hmm.
And what they are looking for is people that are going to be investing in commercial real estate above the price of $3 million. Then you can have a lead magnet that talks about like how to, like, the ultimate checklist for investing into commercial real estate over the price range of $3 to $5 million, something like that, just so you know that
Okay.
you're getting the right ICP into the funnel.
Or you could have something like this: one regulatory change is going to screw everything up for people spending like with like between 3 to 10 million, for example, right? And then you have to find
Exactly.
out, right? That kind of thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly, that will be much better.
The math on that is you can 50 $75 hopefully is what you're going to be earning per lead. Um, if you've dialed in your targeting and your ads and everything for that target ICP, what is a realistic conversion rate from new subscribers to actually qualified leads, the ones you'll get paid for? Because that presumably that's the math, basically, right? At this point, it's like, hey, if I'm going to get paid $50 per lead and it's costing me $5 per new subscriber, I need to have a 10% conversion rate. Otherwise, I'm losing money on this thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, qualified leads have a very low convert. Like a bunch of your subscribers are not going to be qualified. So I would optimize for as high, cost per lead as possible with your lead gen offers. And then usually the higher cost per lead that they offer, because obviously they're not dumb people or like dumb marketers. They're giving you a high cost per lead because it's hard to come by those leads. And then the lower the conversion rate to that lead magnet is going to be. So yeah, it depends from case to case, but I mean, a good scenario is Like I mentioned in my tweet, that is actually based on a real example. If you get $50 per qualified lead, and 1 in every 16 subs is qualified, your funnel breaks even.
Got it. Okay. So that would mean you would be able to pay, quick math with that, about $3 per new subscriber. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
about $3. Okay.
yeah.
So at that point you're checking that, and but this is just based on having one lead gen offer, right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
So presumably the next step, like you say, is to go out and like scale this somehow to find more ways to monetize. Is that what you do next?
Yeah, and you still have the email addresses. You can still
Yeah.
monetize them in other ways, and people that
Mhm.
qualified for your first Legion offer might qualify for other Legion offers.
That's true. Okay, so you're going out and then you're partnering up with more, and you're building out the funnel that way. So realistically, if you're if you have that funnel set up, so you have one lead gen offer where they're paying $50, 1 in 16 subscribers is converting to it. You're paying $3 per subscriber, so you're essentially breaking even on that. What ROAS do you think you're going to end up with 6, 12 months down the line? What would you be targeting from that? Like, how much more money do you expecting to make per subscriber?
Within the commercial real estate niche, I would probably be looking at like 3 to 5x ROAS. Um, and I think the biggest thing about like having a Legion offer straight away is just like you're eliminating a lot of risk, because when you're spending money on growth, like you're risking your money, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're making a lot of money in the first 30 days, but then you're not making a lot of like that much money down the line. So being able to get that immediate payback is like huge. But I would be aiming for, between 3 and 5x ROAS.
So, what do the numbers look like on that? And so you're spending $3 to acquire a subscriber. You're making that $3 back basically immediately. Over the next 12 months, you're hoping to make another another $9, for example, from that subscriber. So those $9 are essentially pure profit from from that point of view. Obviously, you have operating costs and stuff, but from like a return on ad spend point of view, those other $9 are pure profit. So to make $1 million in total revenue, if you're making $12 per subscriber, rough math, you need, what's that, like 80,000. You need to acquire 80,000 subscribers. So what's that, like 7,000 subscribers a month, basically?
Yeah, let's run some quick maths here. So if you are paying $3 per subscriber, you obviously have to be making $83,000 per month.
Yeah.
Uh,
To make $1 million a year from the newsletter.
yeah. And then let's say your average LTV is $12.
Hmm.
Um,
So lifetime value. Yeah.
yeah. I think you have to be acquiring like almost 7,000 subscribers. I'm not sure if I'm getting the math right here.
That, I think that tracks for me. 7,000 subscribers a month. If we're going to make you $12 each, is going to be about $84,000 a month in revenue, which is $1 million a year in revenue.
Yeah, it might
Yeah.
be right. Uh, it sounds low though. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Because that's not just based off your one qualified lead, um, where you're paying, because you're making $3 per subscriber on average on that. This is assuming that you go out and you find a bunch more of those after the first one, right? So
Yeah,
if you only got stuck with that one lead, you'd have to get a bunch more subscribers to make $1 million a year. You'd have to get uh, I don't even know how many, a lot.
no, exactly.
Uh,
Like,
yeah,
just to take 1 month into consideration here. So let's say you generate 7,000 subscribers with Meta ads. 7,000 subscribers is going to cost you $21,000 because you're paying $3 per subscriber. But then over the course of 12 months, their LTV is going to be $84,000. But that is just like I think if you do that over 12 months, you will have uh, a combined value or combined LTV of $1 million a year.
Exactly, yeah, because you keep adding subscribers every month, right? So we're saying if you add 7,000 subscribers every month, then you assume that the LTV happens within 12 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Basically, you're getting to $83,000 a month, which is $1 million a year.
Yeah.
That's that's kind of crazy that you can do that basically with no real product of your own, with just lead gen and reselling of leads and affiliate deals into other products, where you don't have to run that. You don't have to set up some sort of paid community. You don't have to build out a course or a paid subscription or anything like that. Um, and the $1 million a year, that's not pure profit, but it's that's above a 50% profit margin on the like the cost of acquiring subscribers, like well above it. That's I think almost it's a 75% profit margin on that. So
Okay.
even if you factor in the cost of maybe hiring a writer or something and partnering up with someone, that's still north of 400, $500,000 take home.
But I would have to say that it's it's easier said than done, of course.
Yes, obviously.
I mean, everybody
Yeah,
would be doing it if it was that easy. But like
yeah.
if you're a good affiliate marketer, the beauty of affiliate marketing is that you have no face, you have no client risk. You don't have any like fulfillment that you have to do.
Mhm.
So if you have a great funnel where you're generating great quality subscribers, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's very doable to make a lot of money on those subscribers as long as you have the right type of lead gen offers and like partners you're partnering up with.
So I guess for a bunch of people listening to this, if you're in and around that sort of like finance FinPub space, hopefully this is flashing up some opportunities of like this is actually a really realistic thing that if you have those opportunities and you know what you might talk about, you know the audience that you have in mind, you have some of those connections, or you can find someone to partner with. This seems like a really interesting way to build a seven-figure newsletter. If you're not, presumably there are ways that you could potentially get into the industry, like you can spend more time in there. Presumably you can start reading up on this stuff, hanging out in maybe in online communities where this kind of person hangs out. Do you think it's worth do you think the opportunity is worth it for people who are where this is not obviously like their sort of their industry and their space? Is it worth it for people to jump in on this now as a new trend in 2025? Or is this something where you'd say, look, if you're already here, go for it. This is a big opportunity. Otherwise, there's going to be better opportunities out there that are more suited to the kind of person that you are.
I mean, I still think newsletters are one of the best opportunities out there because I mean, you have your email list, you own your subscribers, and you're able to gather first party data on your subscribers, and that is one of the most important aspects of having a newsletter because if you have an Instagram account, like you basically have no idea who's actually subscribed. Like you do have some sort of dashboard where you can track the quality and like certain demographics and like some insights into your audience. But with the newsletter, you're actually able to ask them questions about them as a subscriber that would qualify them for offers. Like you could use ChatGPT and say, hey, here's the 10 partners I want to partner up with. What questions should I ask my subscribers based on what they're looking for in a lead? And then you can, pump out these surveys and then basically go to your partners and say, hey, here's the quality on the subscribers I have. Do you want leads? And then they're obviously willing to pay a lot of money for a lead because, I mean, they're just going to start small in the beginning, like a small budget, to see if they're actually able to make money off of your subscribers. So you obviously have to have very high quality subscribers to make this work long term. But it's a low barrier to entry, but I would say that the scaling from there is quite slow. But getting to
Mm.
that $1 million a year is definitely doable. And like if you already have capital to spend on growth and you have a great newsletter product, you have the funnel, it works, you have your lead gen offers. I think it's an amazing opportunity in 2025. Like I mentioned earlier, like I'm trying to team up with other people in the industry to like run these funnels myself. Like, yeah, I think it's great.
I definitely don't think it's for everyone, but I love this sort of like insight into like a slightly different area or section of the newsletter space, which is very much more focused on the lead gen and qualification and spending more to acquire subscribers rather than trying to get the cheapest possible subscribers and then figuring out what you can possibly do with them with an ad network. So I think this is a really interesting insight. One of the reasons I love reading your newsletter and following along with what you're doing is you share a bunch of stuff like this from within this super niche world of FinPub, where a lot of the growth and the monetization stuff that people are doing there tends to filter down to the rest of us a year, 2, 3 years after everyone there has sort of figured it out. Um, so I guess for anyone who kind of wants to get ahead of the curve a little bit on a lot of this stuff, where can they go and follow along with you and what you're doing and the newsletter?
The best place to follow me is on Twitter. I post a lot of content on Twitter. Whenever I have any insights that I think my followers will like, I post about it. And I try to be open about the tactics that I'm using for my clients. I can't really share the specific names of the clients, but I'm actually able to like share specific strategies that we're using to the benefit of my subscribers. Definitely on Twitter, and then on Twitter you can follow my newsletter. Try to post weekly posts in my newsletter, and I try to keep it as tactical as possible. And I try to keep all my content surrounding the idea of making money from your subscribers. I'm not just talking about growth for the sake of growth. I'm trying to tell you about the stuff that is working in terms of like revenue generated from your invested ad spend.
Gunnar, thanks for joining us. This has been super exciting.
Thanks for having me on. It was great.